Welcome back to the CK Idea Maze. I'm Avi and I'm here with Matt, and we will be talking about the cool new products and user experiences that are built using programmable cryptography. So let's dive in. What are we talking about today?
Yeah, we'll be talking about Anoncast. So might have seen it on Farcaster or now Twitter. Essentially, anonymous posts on a shared social account with, I guess, some ZK powering it under the hood.
Yeah, it's interesting that this thing has been getting some traction, which is like nobody was really expecting a ZK or like a crypto-friendly app, a privacy-friendly app to really get traction. So it's pretty interesting, right? A while back, we were discussing about ZK VMs and stuff, and we kind of speculated that uh, since so much of the development is happening on the infra layer, like there soon will be some breakout apps, and I think this is kind of one of those instances, right, there where we have a breakout app where people are continuously using it. So yeah, it's great to see.
Yeah, it's a cool dynamic. It kind of combines two aspects, and maybe what a non-cast essentially is that it allows anyone that's holding, they launched a non-token, and this essentially buys you the right. If you hold 5,000 Anon, you get the ability to post on this shared account. So you have this feed of a bunch of different people that are able to post if they meet some criteria. So it has this interesting like privacy dynamic where you can be private and post on the account and kind of maybe speak your mind or use it for whatever reason you want to. You can also decide to reveal yourself after the fact, but it's all gated with like token gating essentially. If you have 5,000 Anon, you can actually post 2 million Anon to then delete or promote on Twitter or on Farcaster. So there's this like interesting sort of mechanics that sort of I think combines like the privacy aspect of it almost with a gamification of the non, right? Where maybe people are kind of competing to be able to post on the account. It creates like it's a new fun dynamic and it feels like there's maybe something there that people are looking at.
What do you think about the token? Like, is it could you imagine having the same dynamic or like at least the same features of privacy, but without a token?
Yeah, you can have the same features of privacy. I wonder if that is a way that it almost onboarded people because tokens inherently gamify like an experience and it creates this almost privacy meme coin, but essentially a functional, there's a utility behind it, right? So I wonder if it's some aspect that it combines some of the, gamification mechanics with privacy. It makes it like it creates a game with it versus someone purely just deciding to post on a privacy preserving board, maybe like the previous iteration with like 33 bits where it was the anonymity set was a certain FID number. If you're an early user essentially of Farcaster, you got access to it. I think that there's some aspect where because there's now some value assigned to buying it. So 5,000 Anon is roughly $60 essentially in ETH. And I think that that maybe creates some accepted value for being able to post, right? Versus sometimes when a service is offered for free, you don't value it the same. So there's probably a couple different dynamics there. But yeah, it
Yeah,
sounds like
interesting because 33 bits launched like a year ago, really, and it didn't really take off like Anoncast did. So you have this privacy set of early Farcaster IDs, which means only early users of Farcaster can post. So it's kind of an exclusive club. Like if you're doesn't matter if you're an active user or you could buy tokens, you still wouldn't be able to post. And people like used it, but it not that much, and it never really took off like Anoncast is taking off right now. So Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Anoncast also started like as a fork of 33 bits code base, which were both, I think, written in Noir. And so kudos to Noir, right? It's kind of becoming this popular DSL, which everybody's using these days.
Yeah, yeah, it's a tough ask as well. Like DSLs typically take it's a big switching cost for people. So it's pretty cool to see. I think it was the like the Noir like TypeScript library that they're using. I think behind the scenes, I was looking at some of the components there. So that's cool to
Yeah,
see. Is like, okay, now you create these reusable like puzzle pieces essentially of privacy, right? Or just in general when you have these abstractions. So that's like a fun experiment. I think Shlok said it took 2 weeks to spin up. He had been working on another app and then decided that he wanted to, create
yeah,
this. I don't know what the
yeah.
driving force was.
Exactly. That's an interesting question, right? Because 33 bits was like it was done a year ago, and then there was like nothing for a year. And I think what happened in between uh, was that Supercast, which is another popular Farcaster client, which a lot of people actually use, created this feature of posting anonymously, but that was not ZK. So it was just they created a new account, which is like I think it's called Superanon or something, and then you can essentially like send your cast to Supercast, which is like a centralized your website, a web
Hmm.
app, and you can they will post it for you. So there's no ZK, there's no like they probably like if you send them your cards, they probably know who you are, so they could reveal it. So it's and that started working a little bit, and I think that was the trigger, maybe for the Anoncast team to like look at it and see that it is working, and then maybe start something. Actually, yeah, now I recall what really happened is somebody used Clanker to post to anonymously launch a token using Supercast, and they created this Anon token, and that was pretty interesting moment because the Supercast team kind of shunned the token because they don't want to do anything with it, like comes with a legal liability and
Could you
all
quickly
those
describe
stuff.
what Clanker is as well?
Yeah, Clanker is somebody on Farcaster created a bot, like an AI agent. You can give it like a description, a ticker, and an image, and it will launch a token for you. So it kind of created this new wave of meme coin mania, where people can just send a cast with the ticker and the name, and it will launch a token. And somebody just used mentioned Clanker on a Superanon, the Supercast anonymous client, to post to anonymously essentially launch a token called Anon. And once they have this Anon token, like nobody know what to do with it. So at that point, like I think uh, Schalk and I think he was the primary person behind Anoncast, right? He started working on this forking 33 bits code base, and then using those Anon tokens to allow people to post anonymously. I think that was the founding story behind Anoncast, which is like pretty interesting.
The origin stories. Was it linked at all? Do you have any idea what the intention with launching the token? Was it one of those, someone's going to create a token, see what happens with it? Or was it, we want a non, it's already associated with privacy essentially, and now someone is creative and makes a use for it?
Yeah, I think the latter. Like somebody just wanted to have fun with it. Like maybe they think that this is there's their chance to anonymously launch a token because nobody has like maybe Satoshi launched it anonymously,
Yeah.
but But since then, like nobody has been launching tokens anonymously, right?
Yeah,
And maybe
got another
somebody like
Satoshi on our hands. Yeah.
yeah, somebody just use this supercast anonymous, which is not really anonymous, but like let's say it's somewhat anonymous feature to launch this token, and then people just rallied behind that token and uh, created an Anoncast, which has become now a good publishing platform. It has been posting a lot of casts, a lot of interesting ones. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there's that is a wild, almost like recursive privacy with the supercast. You have one layer of potentially anonymity and someone's almost making a reference to it, right? That they are anonymous. You don't know who I am. Here's this token that's out in the world. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of uh, interest around this mystery, right, with Satoshi and Bitcoin, and the lore is something that I'm sure people can get behind as a whole. So it's turned into a pretty cool like social experiment almost in that regards. I think the big aspect of it is the fact that it's a shared feed where if you're just posting anonymously, like this almost gets into, burner Twitter or anonymous accounts as a whole where you don't necessarily have any linking to your like, this term of doxing, right? It's only a concept if you're privacy first. Essentially, privacy by default is you participate in a forum without any way to actually associate maybe like who you are. It's tough then to also to build up like the reputation required for people to start, listening to you or participating in conversations. And this isn't quite the same forum, but now it's a like a privacy preserving bulletin board that you can essentially buy the rights to post on. I think there's like some aspect that's interesting where you know that more eyes are likely on this than an individual like piece if you're to just try post anonymously on your own account and eventually build up enough credibility where people are listening to you.
Yeah,
Um,
something actually resonated with people who don't have a good number of followers because they were not getting enough likes on their post, right? Uh, versus the people who had like a big following. So I think they found like a outlet for themselves where if you have a banger and you post anonymously, and this new anonymous account has a lot of reach, right? Because a lot of people are following it, and then you can just uh, be very creative with your cast and like have a good distribution that comes through this account
mhm.
instead like if you have posted on your account which has like 5 followers, nobody would see it. So that's another interesting aspect of this.
Just shouting out into the void. That's how it
Yeah.
feels sometimes. Yeah, the other part I'm curious is there's actually the flip side of that then is that there's maybe some large accounts or people that everything that they say is always going to be scrutinized and they want to get that opinion out there, but you don't have a forum to do it. So I wonder what the split is of people who are, you know, typically have
Yeah.
their takes within, discourse versus someone who wants to get it out there or someone just wants to try it out. Like I just think it's a really interesting
Yeah, I've heard
primitive.
rumors that Vitalik has used it,
Yeah.
so some of it is happening definitely.
Yeah, yeah, I think he did purchase some if I remember correctly. So yeah, it's a cool experiment as a whole, and I wonder almost expanding into the burner land and privacy is it feels like there definitely is some pent up like there is like demand for privacy, but these are early experiments of maybe what that can look like because there's benefits to like this distinction you distinguished before we started, which was social media being something like Twitter, where it almost feels like that, versus Farcaster, it feels like a social network in the sense of maybe even the type of conversations that might happen on each of the platforms. It feels like there's maybe some point where we don't know exactly what the full benefits or like things that we want out of like privacy. Like people often have maybe a public account and then they decide they also want to just start sharing other things, they can also, they don't want it associated. They just do another like private account, right? It's not
Yeah.
actually privacy preserving. It's just anonymous in the sense that there's not really a link to the outside world as far as who this user might be. It's just like spin up a new email account and start posting. So it feels like there's some latent interest in participating in an online forum in a privacy preserving way. I mean, it's already existed in, like Reddit, the 4chans of the world and things like that. But I
Yeah,
wouldn't.
the thing that is interesting about pseudonymous accounts is that like they are not totally private, but then
Mhm.
they are not totally public. And like you can imagine like a spectrum, right? Where like on one end you have like full privacy, like your crazy OPSEC, but like on the other end, like they're in the middle, like you could be like, you people might know like, where you live, like which country you live, but like that's the only information they have, something like that, where you have like some kind of opt-in privacy. This kind of reminds me of the name 33 bits. Like, do you know where the name comes from?
I
It's
don't.
actually a pretty interesting story. uh, this is the concept. 33 bits is basically a concept by this guy. I think he is a professor in Princeton or some university, I forget now, called Arvind Narayanan. I think he was very active, like early, like in 2014, 2015, around that time. Like he used to, I think he taught one of the earliest MOOCs on blockchains and cryptocurrencies, I think in Princeton. He probably, like, yeah, if I recall correctly, that course also had Ad Felton as an instructor, like who later founded Arbitrum. So yeah, pretty like early uh, person who was into cryptocurrencies and blockchains. And he has this concept called 33 bits. And what he essentially means is like you have 8 billion people on Earth, and essentially you need like 8 billion IDs to index those 8 billion people.
Hmm.
So you can imagine like a 33-bit integer type to hold those IDs.
Not 32-bit. Nope. Yeah.
Yeah, slightly
It's
above
slightly
32-bit,
larger.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
otherwise you'll overflow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 30. So you essentially you can index everyone on Earth on 33 bits.
Hmm.
So everybody by default gets this 33 bits of privacy. And like you can give up some bits of privacy, right? For instance, like you can reveal your gender, maybe male or female, and by doing that, like you might be um, giving up on one bit of privacy, because then like 50% of the options are cut, and now your anonymity set is only 4 billion instead of 8 billion. And
Hmm.
then maybe you can narrow it down further, right? You can give away some more bits of privacy, uh, and just say that you live in United States, and maybe you live in New York City, but then still like you have 1 million or something people who are in the privacy. And you can like keep on giving away a few bits, but still have like even if you have like a anonymity set of like 1,000 people, where you nobody could distinguish you from the other 1,000 people,
Hmm.
then it's still pretty good, right? Pretty good level of privacy for your day-to-day work. And so that's where this concept of 33 bits came from. So uh, in the like we can see that it's kind of like a privacy spectrum, right? Like at one end you have like full 33 bits of privacy, and on the other end, like you can gradually give up some information, just to like um, just to claim that you're in New York. Like if you're a resident of New York, you can voluntarily give away some information to
Hmm.
get some benefits. Maybe you get to go to a party in New York or something. And yeah, that's 33 bits. Is kind of an interesting name.
That's a pretty fitting reference there. 33 bits. Okay. I guess we've got some reading to do. Now we've got 66 bits as well, I hear. Yeah.
Yeah, yes, the 66-bit is, I think it's the same. 33 bits team created this new product called 66 bits. after they saw that Anoncast is getting traction. And I believe the vision behind 66 bits is that they don't want to have this exclusive club for early Farcaster user. Instead, you can make your own anonymity set. Maybe you can attach it to a token. So some token holders would be part of this set. And yeah, I think 66 bits is meant to be more building more flexible anonymity sets. That's their
Mm.
vision. Let's see where
Hmm.
it goes.
Yeah. So essentially that would be like user controlled like privacy sets. Essentially, you can choose who can participate. Maybe you have arbitrary rules, maybe like token gated, whether those are NFTs or actual tokens, or some sort of social signals, like number of when's your earliest post or number of like followers, some easy social signals. That's an interesting idea. It feels like a lot of these abstractions are great to ex lend itself to experimentation. Now people don't have to think about doing, experimenting on top of privacy. That's the same reason probably why Clanker first existed, is now that you've started to get good tooling for some of this agent, uh, like frameworks and things like that. So,
Yeah, when Anon token was created, it was not 100% private, right? Because it was launched using a non-ZK
hmm
privacy tool. But now that you can launch a token with full privacy, uh, things will get a bit more crazy, right?
hmm yeah, I guess this is an interesting one of like, where does the privacy sort of like come in that first case of like launching the token? What a degree of privacy is it almost starting to get not quite absolute, maybe in the case of using a non-cast. Um, I guess the previous one, that what you're referencing is the fact that this data would have went to the Supercast, servers, and then they maybe have logs that could see what user would have actually been the originator. You could trace it back. Um, so I guess it's an interesting experimentation. I feel like there's broader conversations around privacy even outside of this right now, with like end-to-end messaging and secure cryptography there, whether or not it is, or which apps actually have it. So it feels like it's been a background sort of conversation, like an increasing topic essentially in recent discourse, and probably as we more and more presence online, I'm sure it's not going anywhere, the privacy conversation.
Yeah. I wonder like why there's like such a resurgence just right now with Anoncast. So it's clearly getting traction. It wasn't getting traction. Like this kind of privacy tools weren't getting traction last year. So I'm like just wondering like what changed within a year. Uh, uh, how what's like really the trigger here? Like what's happening?
What's happening? Wouldn't we all like to know? It's a great question. Yeah, I think that there's probably some aspect of it, maybe with, I guess, like, I feel like the market as a whole, people are experimenting, right? I don't know. It's not like people weren't experimenting on Farcaster or, within crypto before, but I feel like there's maybe some aspect where it got more attention um, more quickly. It's like more people are paying attention to some of the things that might be going on. Uh, 'Cause there have been experiments that have tried, cycled out, and it's kind of cool to see almost resurgence, or it's sort of like a phoenix kind of moment of okay, something had been tried with supercasts, and then let's try to do it again in a new dynamic or a new way. This sort of loop of inspiration is pretty unique.
Yeah, maybe like it could be something technical too, because I believe like 1 year ago, like if you want to generate a client-side proof, probably take a minute or two, and people won't be like the UX would not be as friendly. Whereas these days, like on Anoncast, I think a month ago, or when I tried Anoncast, it was taking 40 seconds to post, and just like a week ago, it was now taking 10 seconds to generate a
Hmm.
client-side proof, which is like super impressive in my opinion.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Do you want to distinguish as well? We might hear that's a big topic is essentially, client-side proofs versus like server-side proofs. Can you distinguish what client-side versus server-side means in this context?
yeah, so in this context, uh, the proof that is being generated is on your device. So if you're using Supercast website on your browser, then the proof is being generated in WebAssembly in your browser, and no information like your FID or the text message that you're writing or anything goes to any server anywhere. So like you get like this 100% privacy right, because if I create a server and like have it like a really beefy server, and then it could generate proof very fast, but then you have to send the information to me, and then that's not really private, because it will already leak the information. And sure, you can get the proving time by having a big beefy machine. That's what a lot of rollups do, right? Because you don't need a privacy in rollups. So you can have a big machine for your sequencer, and it could generate a lot of proofs per second, have a good throughput and all that. But then there's no privacy and there's no need for privacy. But like for consumer applications where you need privacy, I think you want to be absolutely sure that like you're not sending data to any other server. Um, and 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 that's what is happening when you're using Anoncast. Uh, they use WebAssembly to generate the proof, and that's working under 10 seconds, and that's
Success
great.
almost. Yeah,
That's
that
great.
is. That's
Yeah.
a massive improvement. I feel like you always hear people talking about client-side proofs as it's really, yeah, it's a user experience improvement, really, is how do you get people to use privacy? There's different ways to go about it, but one of it's is making it really easy to use, right? Where it is not an additional cost, essentially. You don't have to go out of your way for privacy. It can be built in and a part of your experience. So I know there's a lot of teams all focused, all related to the client side proofs and everything. So I think that's like a massive area of improvement. I know I saw the Electric Capital report. It's I guess a growing, steady growth, I would say, on the ZK development side, it seems like.
Yeah, tell us more about the electric capital report. Like, what's happening? Like, what are the numbers? Like, what do they? What's the trend there with ZK? Especially like we have this crazy bear market last year, so
Yeah.
I would imagine like people might have dropped off.
I just think it's that it's been, I think it was 200 full-time
Hmm.
engineers and like just a couple of years ago. Um, but I think we're essentially just seeing some steady development, and maybe these are highly effective engineers we're starting to see where
Yeah.
you can get these abstractions. So a lot of teams work on the client side. Obviously, you can use this Noir TypeScript. I think it's now officially Noir version 1, I believe, if I remember
Hmm.
correctly. But you've got other teams that have been focused on this. So the Aztec team behind Noir, you've got, WorldCoin has been doing client side work
Yeah.
with big emphasis there.
It's interesting. Like, I would like to know if there's a breakdown between people who are working on ZK infra. Like, let's say if there are 900 people there, like how many of them are working on like things like Noir or like ZK VMs, SP1, Risk Zero,
Hmm.
and how many of them are working on products like Anoncast or 32
Yeah.
bits. Uh, yeah.
If I were to put my money on it, I think we've got a lot on the first side as the amount
Yeah.
of it, the growth in the infrastructure improvements on the infrastructure to enable these applications is like we're starting to see that like be possible. Like now that if you can just import a npm package and use it in TypeScript, like, sure. You can go out of your, it's an easy feature add. And, 0x Park, it feels like maybe a few years ago, with the
Mhm.
programmable cryptography, they did some work around that. And you've got the cursive team as well or maybe just the whole like privacy scaling, like the PSE team essentially within the Ethereum Foundation. Those feel like some prominent teams, right? I guess then a lot of these infrastructure teams are also maybe building applications on top of their infrastructure themselves as well, like dog fooding essentially.
Uh, is there any, the cursive team is interesting, right? Do they have any like applications that are in production, or is it a
I
research lab?
I mean they did have so at Edge City they had these like NFC cards where you had these anonymity sets essentially where it was shared interests essentially that you could then I believe, reveal who the person was and then also communicate with them. So as a way in some of these co-living environments that you could actually begin to have conversations or find people that had shared interests, essentially. And at DevCon, they also did a activation there as well. I think you could actually get like cursive rings that had like NFC chips in them, where you could also like you know connect with those that like share information in a privacy preserving way. So I guess, I mean, ZK email team, that would be in production, right? The ZK P2P, which also, I
Okay.
guess, uses some of the ZK email work as well. They're not a part of the PSC team, I believe. But yeah, I'd say most prominently probably the cursive and ZK email
Did you
teams.
get a chance to try the cursive rings or NFC chips when you were in at City?
I did not. I wasn't a full-time resident there at Edge City, so I didn't get to, but I saw plenty of people using it, and it was a pretty cool experience, like experiment as well. Like, it feels like there's something there. You've seen a lot of different ways where people try to encourage people to, like, how do you meet new people in some of these new environments? And it's a cool blend of actually having something physical, right, with like your digital presence, physical presence, and it merges the two of them in a pretty unique way. And I was impressed by how small it was as well. Like you just either have a little card or the fact you could even do a
Mhm.
ring is kind of
Yeah,
insane. Yeah. So maybe in the new year, I would love to try one out. I'm curious what different experiences you could probably create. Hopefully, they'll be doing something at ETH Denver too.
definitely. Yeah. What do you think? Like in 2025, like are we going to see more use cases of programmable cryptography? New ones emerge, or like it's just this meme coin mania going on right now, and once the mania is over, nobody will use Anoncast. What's your outlook there?
Can't speak to the Anoncast trajectory as far as users. It seems like there is a primitive in social media that people want to experiment with. I'm sure we're going to just see more essentially experiments, and these experiments eventually turn into applications that people use. So yeah, I mean, I guess overall, I would bet on more applications essentially in the new year. I don't see it really going anywhere, and the infrastructure has just become like better. It's more of like the infrastructure is one thing, but then it's the tooling essentially on top of it, right? So you've got now, I guess like ZKVMs you can just write in Rust, right? But really these like NPM packages and frameworks like the like ZK emails of the world where you just get all of this hard math out of the way and instead someone can focus on their product is going to lead to more products in the end. So yeah, I would say more than one programmable cryptography app in 2025. You can hold me to it. And what about you?
We'll check back. We'll check back next year.
Yeah.
Likewise, like I'm pretty optimistic that you'll probably see more programmable cryptography. app this year. Yeah, I mean, the infrastructure is gradually improving, right? I'm not sure, like if you can get like if you can cut the proving time from 10 seconds to 1 second within next year. Like
Hmm.
I don't know, but that would be possible, or if that happens, I wouldn't bet on it. But like I feel that even 10 seconds is pretty good. Like it's way better than 60 seconds. So like
Yeah.
yeah, like because if you like 60-second is just too much. 10 seconds maybe workable. 1 seconds, I mean it's ideal, but like I don't think like I would not like if I'm a developer right now and I want to build like something that would generate proof on mobile phones or browsers. I wouldn't wait for it to get as good as 1 second. I would just start right now
Hmm.
because the kind of latency that we have, I think it seems workable. So I think I would imagine like more people experimenting with more interesting ideas.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Workable is a good target. That's a good target across the board. Just get it out there, let people use it, see what they can create. Well, sweet. Anything else we wanted to cover on Anoncast, anonymous, like I guess anonymous social and everything. But we covered a bit of topics
I
here.
think, yeah, I think we covered a fair bit of ground there. Uh, I don't think
All
uh,
right,
we have, yeah,
yeah, we can
I don't
close it
think we
off then.
have more things. Yeah, but
Fix
definitely
client
I would
side
like
proving
to
in the next minute.
keep an eye on. Yeah, definitely I would like to keep an eye on this trend. Uh, it's really interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe some privacy preserving TypeScript is feels like a big unlock for a lot of this client side proving applications and everything. So it's not going anywhere. It's just I'm gonna keep my eye
It's
out
just the
maybe for the next
beginning.
iteration.
It's
Yeah,
just the beginning.
yeah, for the next iteration. If Supercast and I guess now is almost morphed into potentially or inspired then Anoncast, maybe there's also going to be something where we're just going to see this continuing snowball effect of apps.
Yeah, I'm curious. Like, at which point it becomes so pervasive that like you can do your usual age
Hmm.
verifications and address verification and these kind of stuff through ZK. I think that would be enormously powerful. And yeah, it's I don't know like which which level of adoption curve that would happen, but yeah, that should happen at some point, right?
Yes, that's the aspiration. Yeah, you've got the bar example of ZK just being able to prove you're 21 without 21. I think even just proving, some of your, yeah, the basic details of your life. I feel like, you went through your apartment renting experience. I
Recently,
think that
yeah.
is whoever figures it out and cracks the code where you can just do some proofs for a approval process for an apartment, a house. I think that would get a lot of adoption. I'll put it out there. So I'm sure it would save
Yeah,
everyone plenty of time. So
definitely.
maybe 2025 is that year. I would be surprised if that's the case, but a very welcome
2025,
surprise.
the year of consumer ZK.
Yeah. Yes, I would love that. All right.
That's
Well,
great.
I
That's
think
great.
that is everything for the ZK idea maze and a non-cast for this time.
Yeah,
So
yeah, for sure. Yeah, if you like this conversation, feel free to share with your friends, like and subscribe.
do the thing.
Cool, cool. Until next time.
Yeah.
See ya.
Peace.